Hey there. Um, Duran, Mike, used to go by with me. Um, Normally do actually, hell, not normally. Infrequently I do video game playthroughs. I might do some tech related stuff. No, I've done a gun video before, which, seeing as I haven't owned a gun until recently, makes perfect sense. Um, I do like to mess with things, mess with hardware, repair stuff, tweak things, modify things. And I wanted to, based on other people's recommendation, do a little video about Taurus G2C to be specific. Um, it's kind of lauded as like the beginning of like Taurus's good reliability streak. Before that, they've had a lot of issues, but as it stands, the G2C, G3C, G3, they're doing like the TX4. They're making decent guns now. They're making really decent guns. Uh, Fairly like really inexpensive, but reliable, a decent quality. They're not amazing by any standards, but I wanted to talk about the one that I've been working on here. Just fiddling with it right now. We're safe. Absolutely. I've actually been asked to do a little video on the work that I've done with it. I don't normally do guns. Kind of after having worked on this one, I've been working on some other people's guns and stuff. A little bit of a beginner amateur gunsmithing, but I wanted to talk about the work that I'd done to this one, which, as I say, by several recommendations, I should do a video on. According to them, I should probably start charging people money to do, which I'm okay with that. Um. Anyway, yeah. Breakdown video. Just gonna talk about a little bit about what I did with it. Uh. So far, I've gone through it. This is hard for like a video where I'm not just like talking about a game or something while I'm playing. Let's start getting it broken down. I'm guessing if you already saw it flash by the screen, that's not the standard trigger for this gun. That's the finish on the slide. That's my own. I did a distressed finish. If I can find the video that I saw that led me to believe that doing this would be a good idea, I'll link it. Um, Otherwise, let's start the breakdown a little bit. So just going from the outside here, we obviously have our trigger here, which is a printed trigger made out of a similar composite as the rest of the frame is here. Let's see, if I can get it broken down a little bit farther, if close enough to show you the mechanism and stuff, how it's attached and everything, I'll do that. But let's get it broken down. I'm not sure if anyone watching is not familiar with this gun. I mean, why in God's name would you be watching modification video on a Taurus handgun if you don't own one? So it comes down a little bit similar to a Glock, except we'll have to cock the slide back a little bit. Pull those two tabs down, let it slide forward. We'll pull the trigger. Please make sure it's safe when doing so. Comes off pretty simple. It's filthy because I've been shooting it and not cleaning it, and you can see already the slide tabs are getting a little bit of wear there. Um, as far as stuff I've done back here to this here, I completely stripped it out of any factory grease and anything like that. I re-greased important parts to it. I have fully completely taken down the internals of this, cleaned it out, reset everything back in. Comes out fairly simple. If I do a full breakdown video, you're basically looking at doing this pin, and that pin back there. Punch tool set, absolutely mandatory for this one. As far as the slide goes, that's actually where I did most of the work to it. Um, recoil spring, I did switch to the Lakeline. Most of the parts I've gotten are from Lakeline. The all steel spring, recoil spring assembly for it. The barrel I do have plans for, but as of yet is unmodified. Some of the harder stuff to see that I've done here. Let me grab a tool, which I should have prepared for. So, we'll maybe do a full breakdown video. Anyway, there's a little sleeve right in there. We depress that sleeve so we can push our back plate out. Keep your finger over it so it doesn't shoot off. Mine doesn't even want to come out. There we go. So you get your back plate off. Remove the internals here. Clean, dry, no oil or grease or anything like that. Pretty standard striker assembly. You have your main striker spring, your retention collar, your cups. They're called cups. Mine does have a recoil return spring, or not recoil, firing pin return spring, so it tucks it back in. Main difference that I've done here is this striker sleeve. It's either plastic or polymer. Comes in, the factory version of it. I saw it as a poor quality choice. Switched it to the steel one from Lakeline. Reduced resistance. It stands up to wear better. I like it better. When I didn't notice and is going to be purchased, and I'm going to replace it when I can, is these cups, this spring collar right here. They also make a steel one for it, which I'm going to give a try. Talking about the gun, how much been firing and stuff. I'm probably 700 rounds into it without any failures, any issues. No, no stovepipes, no light strikes, nothing like that. No failure to feed, no failure to eject, nothing like that. It's been solidly reliable, except for the piece of shit trigger, which comes factory stock, which I need to actually, let's see here. Let me get this up real quick and see if I can find that trigger again. Pardon the key clacks. Trying to find the actual website so you're not buying it off of eBay or something like that. Where are you? Ah, that's what it is. Keep tinkering. Keeptinkering.com. Let me see if I can switch over to the desktop here. simply getting rid of that mechanism for the safety in there. It did pull. I want to say it's like a. I think it's advertised as like a 30% maybe reduction in trigger draw length. Uh, you get that, knock that out. I didn't have any issue with the spring. In fact, I think the factory spring was a little bit lighter. Just by going by difficulty when I was trying to install them, I did initially go to put in the spring that came with it, or that rather came with the trigger. It was much firmer, maybe because I've been shooting the gun a bunch. But yeah, the factory spring seemed lighter, and that seemed a little better for the case. Now I have a spare spring in case anything happens or I lose it. 'Cause I'm terrible. uh, really, that's the big kicker there is getting that trigger replaced. What I really want to talk about is the double action, which I'm not entirely sure what I'm talking about here. Let's get this back together real quick. Comes apart and goes back together fairly easily. That compress. My backplate wants to find its home. Video lighting is not highly conducive to working on stuff. There we go. Just flip that in. There we go. Barrel. Recoil. So what I want to talk about is the double action on it, which seems like a really piss poor way to be cheap with rounds. So the idea is that I guess the right angle here to show you. So you have your sear back here, which of course grabs, this as it slide reciprocates or after you cock it. The idea behind this is catch you. There you are. This right here, attached to your trigger bar, acts kind of like a secondary sear. So let's say you pull the trigger, pin goes forward, light strike, something like that. It's called second fire capability. The idea is that once this happens, without re-racking the slide, you can pull that back and it'll pull back your firing pin until the back, and then which it releases it again. To try the same round over again. I don't like this. This is a stupid idea. It's pretty standardly taught, tap and rack to deal with a issue like that as quickly as possible. This is especially important when when training with multiple different weapons. A lot of the most that I've seen, most handguns don't have this feature. Um so it kind of adds a little bit of messiness to it. I think that bar adds a little bit of resistance up here. As far as dry fire practice goes, which I personally do a lot of because bullets are expensive. So, reassembled, you've cocked it. Right. So, most guns now you'd have just your trigger return spring that you're playing against right now. When I do this again, so that tab that's in here has moved forward past the firing pin. And now as I draw, it's pulling it, it's holding it, it's decent resistance as I'm pulling that back, and it gives you a chance to fire that, or to try and fire that round again, which I don't like. It adds resistance to the whole trigger pull, the whole trigger feel, and everything. I personally believe, especially if you're going to do a lot of dry fire practice, that constantly wearing this thing, pulling that back, having it go off, and every time it goes back, listen to it. I don't know if it'll actually catch it because of my microphone settings, but That click right there is that little tab slipping back over the striker, the the catch on the striker, and I think it would wear it out significantly over time, especially a lot of dry fire practice. Every time it fires. So next plan is to go with the single action only trigger, which will shorten the draw of the shorten the trigger itself. Actually, bring it about to like right here. So you only pull EA much and fire, and it resets to there. You can actually hear the reset on that. This is a terrible fucking video. Oh, got to talk about factory sites are trash. The factory white dot sites, which are very, I'm not gonna say off white. I'm gonna say like gray white. They're not very light reflective, I don't think. In fact, let's talk about that. I got the parts bag hereabouts. Somewhere in the desk side junk drawer. And I can show you some of the things I was talking about. So, your factory recoil spring. It's got the polymer on the larger side, that sleeve right there. Do not like. Your standard factory trigger with the slot space in there, because it's not going to hold together without a pin that holds that little button for the trigger safety. Don't know why I keep half this shit. There's that actual safety mechanism itself that goes inside the trigger. Like I remember how it even came out of it. That's right, it's gonna feed top side. I think. There we go. Yeah, so sitting on the gun. There we go. It's like, see? It's like EA with this thing here. Other parts to talk about. There's that spare spring that I got. That's your that's your trigger turn spring. It's actually a spring inside the back of the trigger, inside the base of the trigger. What else? Pin for that trigger safety. Need that, no mind. There we go. Nope, not that one. That one. There we go. So, factory sites I had. I'm holding up to like, video lighting here, and that's how bright they are. So I decided to go with the next step up of a cheapo option of, I doubt I can find a dark spot here. This really shitty orange front, and this somewhat reliably glowy rear. I figured I can't cheap out on this because it sucks when you do for sights. I'm not a big red dot fan, and I'm probably gonna get hell for it. So I started to go with True Glow sights. So these are the TFX sights, TFX Pro, something like that. So with these, you're going to have your fiber optic top openings. obviously will catch the light. And I don't know if I can do this well enough that. Anyway, the real feature of that is, and the reason that the, like, especially if you look at the front side here, how friggin' long this thing is with how little of that's exposed, is at the front of each part of these sites, it's housing a tritium cell, which glows sufficiently, brightly in decent lighting. Also, it's more of a fun feature and something I can imagine myself actually using in an emergency situation is the, so these are steel frames, and that front, I'm sorry, rear sight, the front of it does have that kind of camber to it. So if you needed to, you can, pull that on a desk or your pocket, something like that. I mean, how with it in the moment would you have to be to actually, catch that? And that would take like lots of training. You have to rely on your pants or whatever, something having something there. But it jams, something like that. It grabs it, it jams. You fire weird, it jams. You're defending yourself with one hand. Fine, that's at least there's an option there if you have the ability to use it. Neat little feature. Bar going into a full breakdown video, which once again might or might not do, to actually show you the internals of the control unit back here. That's it.